It's funny, isn't it, how sometimes things come in circles. I actually joined my current community in an effort to find a raiding group to play Guild Wars 2. And in actual fact, then people, many of them now become some of my best friends. We've stayed in the community for such a long time, and over the years, we've changed from a raiding group and a raiding guild into a gaming community. We play many games together, but we always talk about the next big MMO, and at this point now, it's almost like a running joke. MMOs have fallen from grace, if you will. The genre has definitely changed, and it is going through, I would say, something of a stagnation. World of Warcraft changed everything. It came out and it was just an instant hit. Even with its early problems, it's just such a big, massive body of work. And even today, people play it and they love it. But it's not what it was, in my opinion. Classic WoW was where I cut my teeth in the MMO genre. These days, Western MMOs seem to have fallen out of favour. People are not playing them as much. It's so much harder to get an MMO to the finish line, and even ones that do now, they don't arrive in a very good state. So after playing the recent Ashes of Creation early access, it's clear to me now this game is not anywhere near complete, and I have got some serious concerns about whether it will actually arrive in the state we were hoping it would. That game to me was going to bring the MMO genre back to the limelight, hopefully, but I don't think it is now. So I came away from that quite disappointed, and I was looking for something to play. I still had that MMO itch I wanted to scratch, and I looked at various games. I looked at going back to Warcraft, didn't click. I tried it for a couple of days, and I was going through Steam and I saw Guild Wars 2, and I thought, okay, let's give this another go. It's actually free on Steam now. I do have an old account, but I didn't log into that. I just went straight into my Steam account, started a new game, played for a few hours, and it clicked. So many people regard 2012 as entering the second golden age of MMOs. This was a really exciting time for MMOs. There were loads of people trying to get in on the whole WoW craze. WoW had just finished with Cataclysm, and me personally, I was coming to the end of my love affair with WoW. I felt like it had reached a stage now where things were just not really exciting anymore. There were some good games around at that time. There was Terra, there was the Old Republic, but I remember seeing this trailer for Guild Wars 2. I never played the original Guild Wars, but this trailer absolutely grabbed me, and it was showing me everything I wanted to see MMOs evolve into. I started to think back about all the really awesome times I had with Guild Wars 2. It was a really good game to play anyway. And I also realise now there's 6 expansions have come out since I last played. So I hit the install button, went to make a cup of tea, and here we go. So what is it about Guild Wars 2 that makes it such a compelling MMO to play and makes it stand out from the crowd? I think one of the first things I would say is the gear progression is almost revolutionary. Now I think a few have copied it since, but no one's really done it like Guild Wars 2. Essentially, there is no gear progression treadmill. A lot of people I know got really burned out with expansions for WoW. Every time a new expansion would come out, all that gear you'd farmed and spent hours, days and months searching for and fighting for, it was suddenly useless and worthless. I remember Burning Crusade, looking at all my best gear, thinking well, I might as well just sell it because it's just not even worth it anymore. Guild Wars 2 does it differently. So once you've reached Ascended gear, you have the best gear in the game. You can go one above it with Legendary, but that only adds quality of life features, like being able to change the skins at any time you want, and also change the stats. So Legendary is the best. But once you have that gear, that's it. And to ArenaNet's credit, they've kept that system through every single expansion they've put out so far. When the very first trailer dropped for Guild Wars 2, I remember watching it over and over again. I couldn't quite believe that we were going to get this game that was going to evolve MMOs and change them. And one of the things that I was really excited about was dynamic combat. Combat that was a little bit different from just tab targeting. Pressing tab, highlighting your enemy, and just clicking your skills. This game was actually taking things a bit further, so you could move around when casting spells. As the developer quite famously said, you can swing a sword and hit something, and it actually makes contact with the mesh with the enemy. There's also really good things like combo fields, where if you put down a field of fire, an archer, for example, can fire their arrows through that field and ignite their arrows. So you've got this wonderful combination between different classes. And if you think about it, it makes sense. You were playing these games to play with other people, and so why not have skills actually mesh together and do something in a cooperative way? I only remember one other game called Lord of the Rings Online that did stuff like that. You have these fellowship moves where people would press buttons at the same time. It sounds a bit crap, but it was actually really good because it gave you this way to interact with people in combat instead of just all doing your own thing. And so yeah, Guild Wars 2 has this type of combat, and it feels good. So while on the subject of combat, it's worth mentioning as well the classes in this game. I've never seen anything like them. On paper, at first they look very similar. You've got Guardians, you've got Thief, you've got a Ranger, but each class has a very unique look at the stereotypical way you would play that class. So, for example, the Necromancer in any game is usually like a ranged damage dealer with pets. Now, the Necromancer in this game has that, but when you use a weapon in Guild Wars 2, it gives you its own unique set of skills. So, for example, the Ranger can use a greatsword, and the skills are fantastic. Or instead, a Necromancer can use daggers, and you get these really unique set of skills, and each weapon comes with that. You can even put some weapons in different hands, and again, they give you a different set of skills to use. And on top of all this customization, since I last played, there have now been 3 extra specializations added for each class. That's an amazing amount of content and different variation in how you want to create your character and how you want to play it. So for example, I'm leveling an elementalist at the moment, and one of their specializations is to use a hammer. Now in the base game this isn't available to my class, but now once I activate that specialization with hero points, I can now use hammers, and it gives me a whole new set of skills and a whole new wheel of upgrades to go through for that specialization, and it fundamentally can change how a class works. So you've got all this replay, all this extra depth to each character, and it is utterly fantastic. Once you set out in Guild Wars 2 and start to level for the first time, you start to realise that the developers really wanted to promote people playing together and not fighting each other over resources. So, for example, when you are leveling and you come across a node, like a mining node or a tree, and you go ahead and chop that tree down, for example, you don't take that away from another player. Another player in the same place still gets access to that tree, whether you've done that or not. And I think that's a really interesting way of doing things. In the same way that when you were playing other MMOs, you would get people kill stealing. You know, hitting it once, they get the first bit of damage, and that's their kill, and they get the loot. Whereas in Guild Wars, if you hit something, you do get experience based on what you've done. And it's such an obvious thing to do, but it was ArenaNet that really pushed that idea forward. And there's lots of other really nice additions to leveling. For example, if you go back to, let's say, a level 40 area as level 80 to help a friend, say, you are also put down to level 40 temporarily in that area. So instead of being this unstoppable force that's just blasting everything around them, you now become a help to your friend, and at the same time it's kept within constraints, and so other players aren't having their game ruined. So while talking about player interaction, I just wanted to mention the community of Guild Wars 2. This is by far one of the most friendly and open communities I've ever encountered in a multiplayer game. They're so helpful, so friendly, and so approachable. You've even got people like who take mentor roles, and they hang around the start areas of the different races just for the sole purpose of helping new players and helping them find their way through the first few levels. That's really special. And it's funny because very often, and I was guilty of this when I first played MMOs, is you kind of play it like a single player game. You go in, you create your character, and then you do your utmost to ignore and avoid everyone around you. Like, go away, I'm leveling my character.
Hey, Phil! Phil Connors, I don't where? Hey, Phil!
But I think if you step out of your comfort zone and start to chat to people, sometimes in these games you often get a lot more back in terms of player interaction, meeting new people, even making new friends and ending up in a new guild. I remember when I joined my guild in Lord of the Rings, it was literally passing somebody somewhere and just said hello, and that guy stopped and we had a chat. Turns out he had a guild, he invited me, and I made some lifelong friends out of that one interaction. So it is really worth it, just stepping out of your comfort zone and just saying hello to people. I was trying to think about what else it is about Guild Wars 2 that I really rate as an MMO, and I think one of the biggest things is the actual world itself. I've spoken a lot about classes and skills and the community, but what is the actual game like to play? Well, you go from zone to zone like most MMOs, but the thing you will find and discover early on, even in the starting areas, is each area is just absolutely jam-packed with all kinds of things to find. You've got secret caves with jumping puzzles inside, you've got hidden artifacts, you've got little stories. The dynamic quests can start with one person, just chat to an NPC, and that can spawn a 6-stage quest through these cave systems. You got diving puzzles where you get to the top of a mountain, you find some diving goggles, and then you jump off. Just little things to find like that. And then underpinning all of this, we have this really interesting, well thought out quest system where in old games you would go to an NPC and pick up a quest, and then you would go and kill, as I said in the introduction video, 10 centaurs, but that isn't actually happening. In Guild Wars 2, the quests are actually happening all around you and can spawn, like I said, from just one NPC, one little conversation dialogue, and you're off. And it can end up with you storming a fort or taking on a world boss, and it just invites other players in. You can't miss it, and it tells you exactly what you need to do on the top right hand corner, so you can just get on with getting involved, and the game recognises your presence. So you're not stood there like the old days where you're shouting invite me, and everyone ignores you, and you end up just looking at the smouldering corpse of a boss thinking, well, I wanted to do that. All that is taken away, and it's just replaced by this really intuitive system where you just get involved and the game recognises your presence. It's fantastic, and it's amazing that no one did it before. So I think I mentioned in one of my reviews last year, I used to view graphics as this very secondary, distant thing that I wasn't really concerned with. And then as I got older and I played more games, I'm realising that graphics are very important. And they're important for a few different reasons. One, because they immerse you in this world. You don't need them, but for some games they really do help create this suspension of disbelief where you are in this world and you feel immersed. And that's really important, and I love the graphics in Guild Wars 2. They're very artisanal, they're very painterly, they've got this very unique style, and they draw you into the world. They make you feel like you're part of a living painting in some ways. And that extends to the cutscenes as well. Often they are using the characters, but quite often we see these really beautiful rendered stories, like storyboards that are almost alive. The team at Guild Wars 2, the art team, they deserve a lot of praise for this game. It's covered in these really interesting creatures and characters. The worlds themselves they're not just flat places with a couple of trees and a couple of bodies of water. They feel like living places, and they've got so many nooks and crannies and secret caves and secrets to find, and it just feels like a really interesting place to be. I'm coming close now what I want to cover in Guild Wars 2 in 2026, but I can't leave this review without talking about the mount system in Guild Wars 2. Now, when I first started playing Guild Wars 2, there were no mounts at all, so the best you could hope for is a handy speed buff. But now they've added a whole list of different mounts different classifications. So you've got jumping ones, you've got raptors, you've got warclaws, you've got ones that can swim, ones that can glide, ones that can actually fly. And as I'm walking around and playing in the game, you can see these massive dragons flying overhead of you. That's not an NPC or some type of mob. That's like players flying around in the game on their own flying mounts. I've not got there yet. I've not actually got to that content, but I will, and I cannot wait to try it because it looks fantastic. They've even got these boats you can go off and take into the ocean and plonk down and do a bit of fishing and invite your friends around for fishing. So yeah, they've got everybody covered for this, and it's such a good way to get around the game, and they look amazing as well. If you look at the actual gem store, this is how they keep the game going and keep the lights switched on, because I can guarantee I'll be spending some money on a new mount skin because they look so damn good. I've left this one till the very last because I think it is one of the most important points about an MMO. I've been playing them, like I said, for many years now, and I feel like this is the most important ingredient for an MMO to succeed, and that is when people have faith in it. Warcraft has been going for the longest time, and partly the reason I think is because people trust it. They trust that all them hours, hundreds of hours of their time, building these worlds, collecting mounts, doing whatever you're going to do, it's all going to be there tomorrow. And it's all going to be there next year because they trust Blizzard to keep the lights on and to keep funding the game, to keep the servers switched on, and they're not going to be wasting their time. I think ArenaNet have also shown this level of commitment to their games. They still are funding Guild Wars 1. They've just given it a bit of a revamp, but the servers, most importantly, are still switched on. So anyone who invested time and effort into that game, it's still there now and you can still go and play. And this is the same with Guild Wars 2. Not only have they kept the lights on, the servers running, they've supported it so much with 6 expansions, updates, new characters, new stories. And yeah, some of it you have to pay for with the Living Story. I've had to pay for the Living Story Part 2 and 3 because I wasn't there at the time when it came out. You know what? I don't mind that because I'm enjoying the game so much. And I know that these MMOs, they cost a lot to run. Developers need to be paid. Artists need to be paid. It all costs money. And if I'm getting so much from this game, I don't mind putting my hand in my pocket and paying for some of this stuff. I mean, the entire base game is free on Steam. That's the entire original game, and you can go and play it right now with no money. And that shows how much faith these developers have in their product. So I usually have 2 games on the go at any one time. I have a game that's live, I'm reviewing, I want to play through it, get it finished, and move on to the next. And then I usually have a game in the background that I just keep going back to in between games. And I think that game going forward, especially this year, is going to be Guild Wars 2. And so given that, I'm going to probably do another 3 videos for Guild Wars 2 over this year. I'm going to do another video for each 2 expansions. I think a video for every 1 expansion might be a bit much. So I'm going to split it into 3. So the first 2 expansions, I'm going to play through them. I'm going to record footage. I'm going to give you my opinion of them too. The features, the way the levels look, the improvements in graphics and so on and so forth. And then do the same for the next 2 expansions and so on. And I think that's probably the best way to cover it. So there we go, that's my review of Guild Wars 2 in 2026. Like I've said, I'm not done yet, not even close, but I'm really looking forward to the journey. Going forward, I'm going to be reviewing Cairn. It's like a climbing game at the end of the month. We've also got the No Rest for the Wicked co-op, which is now officially launched, open to the public. So I'll be taking a look at that. And I have a game called Cleared Hot, which is like a Desert Strike type modern game. So that is looking really interesting. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I appreciate you all, and if you could give me a like and subscribe, would be awesome. Leave a comment, tell me what your favourite MMO of all time is, and we can have a conversation. Alright guys, hope you're all well, and take care. Thanks, bye bye.